I had built up a reputation in the neighborhood as someone who was fearless. It didn't matter that I was the youngest. I was given a gun.
My daughters were 3 and 1, and it was the first time I had been out, really, since I had my second baby. I see these 3 guys walk up to the car, and I wasn't really paying attention to them. One of them asked, "You got any change?" I heard from behind, "I'm serious, give it up."
And Debbie immediately screamed. I immediately fired.
He shot. I saw one of my teeth fall on the ground.
I threw the gun in some bushes and went back to the neighborhood.
My front tooth was gone. All the teeth on the bottom left side, all of them were gone. Then I found out who it was. They said Ian Manuel, 13. I'm like, 13? There's no way a 13-year-old kid shot me. He's just a child.
My lawyer at the time, he goes and gets my mom, talks to my mom for about 15 minutes. My mom's older than me. My mom has been in prison before. She's dealt with the criminal justice system before. And she tells me, "Ian, do what your lawyers say, baby. Do it for me. Please plead guilty for me." I said, "Okay, Mom." She went to her grave regretting that, man. Because I ended up being sentenced to life. I've been in prison about a year at this time. It was around December 1991. I had all my paperwork scattered out on the table. Police report was in there with Debbie's phone number. So I got the idea, let me call Debbie.
I got a phone call, and it was a collect call.
"You have a collect call from Ian at Appalachia Correctional Institution. Will you accept the charges?"
Morbid curiosity, more than anything. I said, "I'll accept the charges."
The first thing I say was, "Ms. Bagrey, I called to wish you and your family a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and to apologize, for shooting you in the face."
He said he was sorry for what he did, and if it wouldn't be too much trouble, I would like to write you.
She said yes. And that's how our correspondence started.
I was getting letters from him from the time he was 14, and I'm reading them, and I'm thinking, the way his sentence structure, his vocabulary, he is way too young to be this articulate.
I'm glad I had followed my heart and picked up that phone that day, because if not, I would have missed out on a truly special friendship.
I forgave him because he was a child. I used this to make my life better. I refocused.
Ian had been sentenced to life without parole for a crime at the age of 13. I wrote him a letter. We're thinking about challenging the constitutionality of life without parole sentences for children. We started taking cases to the U.S. Supreme Court. When the court ruled that it is unconstitutional to impose these kinds of sentences on children convicted of non-homicides, we went back to the court where Ian's case was pending. We said, you have to give him relief. And Debbie came to court, and she said these amazing things about how she doesn't believe that the sentence that Ian received was fair or just, and she supports him being released from jail or prison.
Ian got up and made such a beautiful speech to the judge.
I told the judge, me and Debbie have been waiting for years for the judicial system to catch up to my remorse and her forgiveness. I was released that night.
Oh, God.
It's really hard to step out into the world, particularly now when you're coming out as an adult, but you left the world as a child. You look like an adult, but you have none of the life experiences that adults are supposed to have. Ian had never lived alone before. He's never rented anything. He's never had a bank account. He's never learned to drive. He doesn't know any of the things that people assume he knows.
You say, put your foot on the brake and then press this?
But having some outside people who are cheering for him, rooting for him, it's obviously made a huge impact.
Just press that, I guess.
And nobody has played that role more enthusiastically, more lovingly, and with more commitment than Debbie.
I see Ian for who he is. He still has a lot of growing to do, and I don't glorify him, but our relationship, it spans so many years, from childhood to adulthood, that he's almost like my child. You can just put it in like a pan and stir fry it.
You don't overcome fear and anger without courage. You don't affirm the other things people are when they make mistakes or when terrible things happen to them without courage.
I'm not saying he wasn't responsible for his actions, but when you're 13, you should be given the opportunity to change, to grow. What I feel is compassion for another human being.